Hello everyone, I'm a movie collector living in Milwaukee, and I'm launching this channel to show off some of the stuff I've found. So let's get right to it. I personally prefer horror, so that's kind of what we focus on. One of the first things I picked up this month is the Vestron Video Parents release, which, it's sort of funny. I picked these up because they have numbers on the sides, and I had picked up some of my more favorite titles from them, and it just drove me nuts not having the rest of them. So a lot of them have been like blind buys of movies that I hadn't seen before, but most of them turned out to be pretty good, and Parents was no exception. So it's this very bizarre story about cannibalism, and it was a pretty good release, and I'm happy I picked it up. So next off, this is something I pre-ordered. So The Shout Factory Return of the Living Dead Part 2. So this was a pretty good release too. Not necessarily a big fan of the movie, but I've definitely seen worse. So plus there's a whole long discussion to be had about what makes this unique release special, because it has the original theatrical used audio, which for some reason they had to swap out on earlier home video releases, and it totally changes the tone of the movie. The one kind of gripe I have with this release is they didn't exactly explain why that happened, so it's a bit of a mystery to me, but maybe I just wasn't paying attention when I went through it. And then we have kind of a mainstream title here, the Avengers Infinity War Steelbook, which I haven't gotten to watch this movie yet because I was a little bit behind on Marvel movies. So after we get through Ragnarok, we're coming for him. So it's a pretty nice case too. So because a lot of having physical releases is so that you have something to display on your shelf, and that's going to look pretty nice. So we went for the 4K one because, well, we have this ridiculous TV, why not use it? And then, kind of a surprise from the same Best Buy trip was the Shout Factory It's Alive trilogy box set, which these are some Larry Cohen horror movies that I had not seen before, but it was at Best Buy for a pretty good price. It was $10 less than everywhere I could find it online, and from what everybody said, it came pretty highly recommended. So plus Larry Cohen's done some movies that I've been pretty into, like The Stuff and, as I forget the name, Q, like the Quetzalcoatl movie. So, it's Larry Cohen. Like, I'd be surprised if I didn't enjoy it. And then this is the first of kind of the things I was more excited to pick up. So July 24th saw the release of a couple really awesome Vestron titles. So Beyond Reanimator is the first one I picked up, because I like the Reanimator series, but I hadn't seen this one yet, so it was nice to finally have access to it. Like, I think it had some earlier releases, but they were kind of cheaply done. At least that's how they looked to me. I'm excited to revisit Dagon again, because I first saw this a long time ago before I really had a whole lot of taste. And I remember not liking it, but now that I'm a lot more familiar with Lovecraft and have matured quite a bit, I'm looking forward to that. So I just didn't want to crack most of these open before I had a chance to make this video. So look at that art. Oh, that's sweet. Taking a bit of a break into some superhero movies. So we picked up the Death of Superman Steelbook, Target exclusive, which I did not realize was a thing until it was looking at me on the shelf. So it was kind of I did watch this, it's kind of a bare bones-ish release. Like, there's a couple featurettes and a preview of the next DC movie. The DC movies tend to be pretty good, like, in terms of just being movies, but most of their releases are pretty skimpy, in terms of, like, extras and, like, value. So, tad disappointing, but the movie itself was pretty good. So I just wish there was, like, a commentary or something, so we could learn more about, like, the choices they made. And then, of course, Deadpool 2, which I don't really make it to the theater a lot, so I finally got to see this thanks to the 4K Best Buy Blu-ray, which that is a pretty nice steelbook. So thankfully, Best Buy used to only get in one or two of each of their exclusive steelbooks, and so every morning of release there'd be like a fight over them. And the last couple times, they've had quite a few copies, so it's good that they're kind of breaking up that feeding frenzy, although that does sort of diminish the fun. Uh, One kind of sad thing about this was, like, the extended cut is great, and it advertises, lots of extras, but a lot of the extras aren't necessarily all that exciting, so it was a bit of a letdown. So we have kind of a weird eclectic pick. I didn't have the time to get the sticker off of it yet. So I used to watch this cartoon when I was little, and it had been all but forgotten, at least to me, until I sort of found it at Half Price Books, and it's like, oh, all right, cool. So unfortunately, it wasn't one of those situations where Half Price Books had it substantially cheaper than you could find it online, but I just kind of went for it. So it's going to be a fun time. So now back to Best Buy and horror pickups. So this is the Wolf Cop 2-pack, which the first time when I saw the first Wolf Cop movie, like, I didn't love it as much as I thought I should, which was a big disappointment because it has a lot of, like, really great, crazy humor in it. But it may have just been the circumstances under which I saw it to where I didn't really get to enjoy it too much. So with this 2-pack that comes with the new one, a lot of times if I see something, well, like with Dagon, if I see something and I'm like, and then I revisit it later, I end up having a pretty great time. So we're kind of hoping for that. So plus the second one's supposed to be pretty good. I ended up biting on this one because I found one with the slipcover, which is kind of tough to do at this point, I suppose. And I'm kind of a sucker for collection kind of things like that. Like, if something can come with a slipcover and it doesn't have it, it just drives me nuts. So, and then this is what I actually went to Best Buy for that day. The Ash vs. Evil Dead Season 3 Steelbook, which, again, another one of those things that I'm totally behind on my TV and just hadn't gotten to see the season yet. So it seems like they actually did do commentaries on all the episodes, which is pretty nice, although I'm not sure if the cast does it this time, because it's kind of unclear on the back. On the Season 2 Steelbooks, which that was something I think they got in maybe 5, and I had to, like, fight people for when those released. They didn't do a commentary on every episode, which was kind of a disappointment. But with the series concluding, then hopefully they put, like, a little bit more effort into it. Or, what I personally suspect, we'll probably end up getting, like, a Steelbook box set or something like that with all 3 of the seasons in it. Well, if we don't, I'm feeling pretty good because I got mine back when they came out, so haha! And now we're kind of moving off to some eBay picks. So this is kind of a hard movie to describe. It's essentially Jaws in reverse, where, like, the creature is not the villain of the movie. It's a 70s movie about a killer whale that's, like, seeking revenge on the people who wronged it. It's a lot better than it sounds. So this was an import from Umbrella Releasing that I picked up from eBay. eBay was having this weird sale a week or two ago where you would get a lot of eBay bucks back on anything you bought, and so I just kind of went nuts. So that's where Dagon, Beyond Reanimator, this, and our last title came from. And it was advertised as all region, and then looking at the back when I got it in the mail, it was like, uh-oh, region B. But I tested it out, and it does indeed play, so despite what the back of the box says, these are all region. And I didn't go through this release yet, because I've seen this movie like a bunch of times. But the selling point for me was the commentary, which, according to Bluray.com, is like a long digression about, like, the history of, like, animals in eco-horror movies. And since monster movies are kind of always been my thing, I'm excited for that. And then, like, the big thing that I was really, really happy to get a hold of, the Dark Age release from Umbrella. So, as you can see, there's the same weird thing. It's like, oh yeah, it's Region 3. The back says it's Region B. Oh no, it does play Region 3. Everything's okay. And so this is another somewhat Jaws knockoff, except instead of trying to kill the creature, our main characters are trying to save the creature. So this has John Jarrett from Wolf Creek in the lead as, like, a park ranger. And they're essentially trying to rescue this crocodile that's been killing people. It's a much more complex story than I'm making it sound, but it's kind of hard to summarize it quickly. It's based off a book called Numenwari that was written by a real crocodile scientist named Graham Webb. And I actually reached out to him at some point last year because being in a biology program, I was setting up an account on like a researcher's website, like a networking website for people who do scientific research, and I found his name on some papers, and I was like, wait a minute, is that the guy? And I actually got a reply. It's like, I indeed wrote Numenwari. I'm happy you enjoyed it. And that was really cool. So this release also had a lot of really nice extras. I did watch this one. So it has a commentary where John Jarrett like talks about his experience making the film, and there was another guy on it who was involved in production. I wasn't quite sure where he was. Well, how he was involved with the movie, but it was a good time. So the movie itself I really enjoyed too, because I'm a sucker for anything reptile related. So it's another cool thing about the two Umbrella releases. Like they both have like a reversible cover, and I had already kind of flipped them around because the covers are basically the same except with like all of the like foreign import, ratings and logos and stuff on the front, which I see, not necessarily a ton of a difference, but I know I'm happy that you can just have like the art, because this really has sweet art. Well, Orchid does too, but I'm more excited about this. So plus it also came with a few more featurettes, which was really nice. It comes with an entire like 40-some minute documentary with Graham Webb from the 80s, where he's showing how he like relocates crocodiles. Kind of fitting with the theme of the movie, which was pretty cool, if not a little bit dry. It's in like VHS quality because it's so old, which I found kind of funny. And then the image gallery for it has like a lot of promotional materials and like pages from the script. And it was a longer image gallery watch, for sure, because you kept having to like stop to read things. But there was some pretty cool info in there, and overall, I was pretty happy with this. So it was moderately cheap too. I think it was like $17, $18 from Blow It Out of Here on eBay. So yeah, that was kind of my favorite thing I found this month. There were a couple of other ones, but these were really like the big, like important things I found that were worth sharing. So, well, that kind of does it for movie releases for August thus far. We're going to try to have a more regular releasing schedule. And hopefully you guys had a good time just seeing what kinds of stuff we can find around here. I collect other stuff too, so we're going to do a few videos on that, and then we're going to try to get to doing this more regularly. So, apologies if we're still a little bit amateur hour here. So, ideally I'll get faster and more succinct as we go along. And that's basically it. I think our next video I have planned is convention pickups breakdown. So, because I did go to a Comic-Con recently, and I found some pretty cool prints. So, I'm looking forward to showing those off. So, well, like, share, subscribe, and let me know how I did in the comments. Bye.